So today I am headed to the office of Quebec in Korea. I have no idea why they have an office here or what to expect when I show up, but today we are going to find out. To be honest, the whole invite was very serendipitous. It all started when I was visiting Studio 535 in Toronto, and I had mentioned that I was about to move to Korea, and someone there had said that they had previously started a K-pop production company. And we chatted for a bit about his adventures, and then he eventually connected me to one of his friends who is based in Toronto. And he was like, why don't you come to the office of Quebec in Korea? I don't know how he's connected to them, but it just seemed way too interesting to pass up. Sometimes I forget that Seoul is quite literally one of the biggest cities on this planet. And you really feel it. When you look at the map, you're like, oh, I'm not really going that far. But it takes so long despite how efficient their subway system is. This massive thing is Seoul's subway map. It's actually insane the amount of different lines that they have. So today, we are going from here all the way to right here, near Gangnam. Ooh. In Korean. 주문할게요. 주문. 저기요? 주문할게요.
네, 뭐 말씀하세요?
탕카츠 주세요.
이건 매운 거예요. 스파이시.
네.
괜찮아요?
괜찮아요.
네.
감사합니다. That feels really good. Okay, so for a lot of casual places like this, they just give you the bill before you even have the food. But you pay at the end, like you go to the cash register and pay yourself. But here's the total. It's 14,000 won, so including tax. That is about $14 CAD or 11 USD. And that's for a whole meal. 저기요, 나이프 주세요.
이게 잘라져 있어. 아니, 이게 잘라져 있어. 그러면.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, it was pre-cut. That's spicy. I'm so nervous all of a sudden.
해결하고 없애는 것만이
was crazy. Basically, in the VIP room, I met two representatives of the government of Quebec, and I got to ask them a ton of questions about why they were here in Korea. To be honest, I don't fully understand the diplomatic relationship that's going on there, but I do get why it's a strategic move for Quebec, of all provinces, to have presence in Korea. And also for context, no other province does. It's just Quebec. And the person I met represents Quebec and works directly with the mayor of Seoul and the ambassador of Canada in Korea. From my understanding, Montreal, which is in Quebec, represents a large portion of academic research as it pertains to deep learning. And I think it's pretty well known that Montreal has been the hotspot for AI research for the past decade. So now you take Montreal and Quebec's reputation for being this hub for academic research, and you take this rising startup ecosystem in Korea. A lot of these Korean companies are heavily funded by the government. So in most cases, instead of raising private capital, which is the most common way to raise funding in America, they instead either get pretty generous grants, equity free from the government, or raised directly from venture capitalists who get their funds from the government. It's kind of a system that mimics Tel Aviv from 10 years ago. So anyways, Montreal, Quebec, well-known AI research hub, and Korean companies that are on the rise, backed by this stable source of funding. And keep in mind, Korea is only 50 million people. For these startups to grow and expand and become of value, they have no choice but to expand internationally. And in fact, a lot of these Korean startups want to eventually end up in America. That makes this Korean-Canadian alliance very strategic. Canada then becomes the first entry point into North America for these Korean startups, but it also helps solidify Canada, but particularly Quebec, but particularly Montreal as a startup hub. So with this Quebec-Korea alliance, Korean companies now have an easier pathway to expand directly into North America. There's a lot more going on here than I truly understand or would be able to explain, but it's also fascinating. But anyways, getting to this point was entirely out of a movie. The person who was introducing me to the government of Quebec, I'd only ever corresponded with him via email. I get to the venue, call him, he sees me, and he walks up to me and immediately puts a badge over my head. He's like, follow me. We end up going through this convention center all the way to the back where it's a VIP room. And that's when we go in and we have this meeting with the government of Quebec. And it's all very on time because the representative, he's really busy. And then that person who introduced me is like, Harpreet, we gotta go. We gotta get into the taxi. It was just all very chaotic. We get in the car. I have no idea where we're going. And he's like, we are headed to the Seoul AI Hub, where the top AI startups funded by the Korean government work out of. And so now we're at this entirely new place, this big fancy building. We're seated at these fancy tables and people are giving presentations and the whole thing is in Korean. But anytime there was a new slide change, I'd be getting on my phone, Google Lensing things, trying to understand what the hell was going on. It was only through those translations that I realized how legitimate these people were. But I had a great time. I got to talk to a ton of founders who've really successfully expanded outside of Korea into North America and grown, a lot of them Series A, Series B, and many deep tech startups. Getting that energy in Korea felt both a bit like home, but also gave me a bit of the satisfaction of, oh, this is why I'm here. I'm not even in the thick of it yet, but it's really exciting to be here.